Before I introduce our next session to the stage, let's just have a short clip. Let's have a short clip of an introduction, a little video film that we can watch before I bring our next guest to the stage. This anticipation is building.
Bu mala Türk cam sanayinin temelini attı. Bu makas Türkiye'nin ilk cam fabrikasını açtı. İşte biz tam 83 yıl önce o fabrikayla yola çıktık. Kocaman hayallerimiz vardı. Memleketimize inancımız tamdı. El ele verdik, hiç durmadan çalıştık. Tek fabrikayı onlarca fabrika yaptık. Yetmedi, adımızı dünyaya yazdık. Bugün 13 ülkede 22 bin çalışanımızla üretiyor, ülkemizi tüm dünyada temsil ediyorsak bu inanç sayesinde. Bize inanan kurucumuza ve milletimize minnettarız. Şişecam gururla 83 yaşında.
Fantastic. So it's my great pleasure to bring our next speaker and my friend to our stage. Cemil Tokel, güzel insan, please join me. You look great.
Thank you.
Come and sit down.
Thank you.
It looks great when you're wearing I think it's a pink shirt, isn't it?
It is actually,
very
yes.
good.
Well, it was pink when I wore it, but yeah.
So Cemil, tell me that story. In fact, tell us, share the story with us that I love about Atatürk.
This
Share
is
it
the
in
part I can
Turkish.
do in Turkish, right?
Please,
Okay,
please.
right. 1934 Atatürk bir restoranda kadehini yudumlarken yanındaki yaverine döner ve sorar biz bu kadehleri nereden alıyoruz diye. Aldığı cevaptan pek hoşlanmaz. Çünkü ona Çek Cumhuriyeti'nde üretildiğini söylerler. Bunu duyduktan sonra ertesi sabah Şişecam Paşabahçe'nin kuruluş emri verilir. And 85 years on, here we are, number 3 in the world of glassmaking.
I absolutely love that. I love that.
Thank you.
So the founder and innovator-in-chief of Pasabahçe Şişecam was Atatürk.
Well, it's Atatürk himself.
Tell me more about Şişecam.
Well, Şişecam is a very interesting company because it has Atatürk and the Republic embedded into its DNA. So to speak, for example, one of the biggest topics today is women in the workplace, equal pay, opportunities. This has never been an issue in Şişecam since 1934. Equal jobs get equal pay. We've had women managers at very key positions in the organization. Even one of them in the 50s introduced R&D to Şişecam. So if you imagine that R&D came to Turkey in the 80s, we had a 30-year head start. And then in the 60s, Şişecam started operating internationally, which I think gave it great scope from a point of view of competition, understanding the market, having to develop technology. And I think that's what made us what we are today.
How many employees? How many factories? How big is big?
It's big. We have 22,500 employees in approximately 14 countries, 46 factories.
And how does Pasabahçe fit into that machine?
Pasabahce is the glass tableware division of Şişecam. We export to more than 150 countries. And we do this with approximately 20,000 SKUs.
That's a lot of SKUs.
That's a lot of SKUs.
Yeah.
And that puts us in the position of number 2 in Europe and number 3 in the world in glass making. But with the recent turmoil in the industry, I can safely say we are number 1 in value creation in terms of glass tableware as a company.
Is there a vision? Do you have a stated vision for Pasabahçe?
Yes, we want to put Pasabahce on every single table in the world.
Well, that's a fantastic. So not just one table, but all of them.
All of them.
And
all
I
of them.
notice you say Pasabahce, not just Pasabahce glasses. So you're thinking of Pasabahce then as a brand.
Absolutely so. We actually do 70% of our business under our own brand right now, but the idea is to push that to 90 plus. And the only way to do that was we were a very production-orientated company, to be quite honest. And like most companies in Turkey, we are now moving towards customer focus, understanding what the changing consumer dynamic needs are, adapting to that and claiming the throne.
And what's the big advantage of doing that? Why do that? If you're excellent at making glasses, why reach into the world of consumer, into the world of brand?
Well, to be quite honest, because there's no future for a production unit if you're not a brand, because there's always going to be somebody who does it better than you in terms of production.
And probably cheaper.
And probably cheaper.
Okay, so this idea of branding is part of the thinking at Pasabahce. Nude is an example that you've brought to bear in the world of branding. Tell me the Nude story.
Nude was, this was one of our brand adventures, one of the biggest adventures we had. It actually stemmed from, we have a Denizli factory in the Aegean coast of Turkey where we've consolidated all of our handmaking. And since it's been formed, we were selling to international brands as an OEM. So it was white label. But as the economy started shifting in terms of production towards the east, we weren't able to pull in any more margins. So we understood the only way to pull margins back into the company was actually branding ourselves. And we sat down and we looked at the market, and it's crystal, so we have to be premium. And then we said, okay, we're going to go for affordable premium. And to be quite honest, in the first days, to build an international premium brand for marketing and salespeople like us in the company, we were like a show from Grey's Anatomy, where the brain surgeon is waiting for some guy to come in with his brain hanging out so that he can reconstruct it. It was that kind of a journey.
So how did you do it? How did you get that
Well,
going?
we realized that this was all about design, so it had to be an international design brand. We looked at the scope of the product, we looked at our competition, and competition was all about 19th century, very sophisticated, wine drinking, limited. So we said, no, we want to be fresh, new, young, we want to be all about the future. So we looked at architectural design, and one of the best in the world is Ron Arad, so we went to him. Ron came over, looked at the idea, he loved it, and even more, he went to the Denizli factory, and he had this circular wine carafe where he had designed, and he was told in Murano that this could never be done. And one of our artisans in the factory, these guys are absolutely fantastic, he just takes this 1,500-degree molten glass, swings it around the place, comes back half an hour later with Ron's piece in the middle. So he fell in love with this. He became a part of it. And then it started snowballing. People started loving the brand. We had designers from all over the world wanting to be a part of it. Today, we work with people like Nikolai Konen. We have some local ones like Aleve Buzia, Ali Bakowa. And with all of these designers, we have 40-odd awards in 2 years, like German Design and others internationally.
And the business plan behind this, okay, there's a brand, an international design brand, beautiful, beautiful products. How were you going to take this to market? Because I'm just imagining Pasabahce, big, traditional glass manufacturer. What was your business plan?
It wasn't easy. We had to go down a different route because the volume was in the Horeca business, which is catering, restaurants, etc. But people today operating in Horeca want to make the consumer feel at home. So we said to get the consumer's minds, we have to hit it from the retail. So we went to the best. Today, Neiman Marcus in the US, John Lewis in England, Rinascente in Milan, and of course Pasabahce stores in Turkey. These are the places where we went to, and we got very positive feedback. They kept reordering. In the beginning, the Las Vegas five-star hotel business started pulling Nude in. And then we took the Horeca market. We started examining how to attack the Horeca after this. We went to the best 50 restaurants. And number one, which is Mirazur today, for example, is from top to toe Nude. And I can safely say we're in more than 10 of the top 50. Then we went to the best bars in the world, like Artisan in London and many others. All love Nude. And now we're in the mixology side, all the cocktails. So we have somebody called Remy Savage, one of the best mixologists in the world, creating a design for us and marketing the product.
So Mirazur, France, these people, is it right to say then that you created a retail brand to drive a Horeca business.
Exactly so.
So that's a kind of summary of it.
That's exactly.
Mirazur, did they take you by choice, or how did that work?
Well, we wanted to collaborate with them in the beginning in terms of developing certain range for the restaurants, but when they started taking the first glasses in, they started buying. So
What
they
glasses? What glasses did they take?
Well, Stem Zero is actually our hero product right now. This is the thinnest glass goblets ever produced in the world. Very fine and very elegant.
That sounds delicate.
It is
sounds
very
like
delicate.
glass, very thin break.
That's when we pushed R&D into it from Şişecam. What we did was we did something called ion shielding, where you take these glasses, it goes into a swimming pool, it's electrolyzed, and an ion exchange takes place. And the long of it, or the short of it, is it coats it microscopically so that it's twice as durable as you would get normally with glass. So people are not scared of buying it anymore into their bars and restaurants because it doesn't break.
So it's really beautiful, but at the same time really tough.
Absolutely so.
Are there any other examples of this kind of innovation from
There are.
Pasabahce?
We came up with this machine called the sniffer.
Literally sniffing.
Literally sniffing. What it does is it's an enzyme machine which follows the molecular way that a design operates with alcohol inside. So effectively, it tells you mathematically how it will smell and how it will taste. So when you put your designers on top of this, you create the perfect product for whoever wants to serve.
So does the shape of the glass affect the taste or the smell of the liquid?
Absolutely so.
And that's what it's measuring, is the amount of molecules coming off
That's
the
what
change
it's
of the
measuring.
glass.
So if you're coming up with a new recolte of wine and you want to know what the ideal glass for it is, we can tell you mathematically what that is.
Fantastic. Okay, what's the future for Nude? How do you know when you've won?
I think when somebody looks at an item and says, that's really very nude all around the world, we've won.
So when nude becomes an adjective?
Absolutely
That's
so.
a bold ambition. Okay, Cemil, Nude, Paşabahçe, you're CEO of an enormous beast. What's your personal story? Why is it important?
Well, I think from a personal view, if a country wants to put itself on the map, there are two things which are very important. One is restaurants, and the second is brands, especially if they're premium, that become international. And I think today in Turkey we have many areas where we're fantastic in production. We just have to trust ourselves to brand ourselves and own it.
And is there support out there?
There is. There is. For example, the government has got a Tur quality program which we've been making use of in Paşabahçe for many years. Now we have full support for Nude as well. And I would recommend any company who's going to go international that you must brand yourselves and make use of this Tur quality program.
Cemil, we've got a small amount of time left, so summarize in a nutshell, if you can, your personal mission in terms of driving all of this. These are big steps that you're taking. There's a lot of change involved in it. What's your personal story in that?
In very short, I would say brand is everything. Believe in it and just do it.
Well, that is a perfect message. Ladies and gentlemen, Cemil Tokel.
Thank you very much, sir.
Cemil, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic.